Damn, guess I'm going without dinner. You even good to be out this late? I thought students had a curfew.
That's kind of you to think of me, but I received permission to be out this late beforehand. Never mind my curfew. Won't you let me see to your arm? Do you have a first aid kit in the office?
I do, but...
It looks like it started healing on its own.
I know it wasn't that bad in the first place, but it's still healing way too fast for it to be normal. Wonder if I got that orbment or turning into a monster to thank for this.
This all began with those diaries. They were passed down from my great-grandfather to my grandmother, and then down to my mother until her death 4 years ago. As you guessed, my great-grandfather is the famous Professor Epstein. It was known at the time that he had an adopted daughter, but she went missing very suddenly after he passed away. By the sound of it, something compelled her to shy away from the public eye. I don't know what that something was. It wasn't written in the letter she left me. Then after my mother died, my father began to lose himself in his work. And now all alone, I became more and more captivated by the many diaries that were left behind. They weren't filled with complex formulae or specialist knowledge or things like that. Instead, they were about who he was as a person, what he was like, what his philosophies were, what he valued most in life. He wrote about the little things that colored his days, his bonds with his loved ones, his time spent with his disciples. I could see through every word written that he was a kind, warm-hearted man with a good sense of humor. A man I could respect a great deal. I was so happy to have his writings so I could peer into his world, just like my mother and grandmother before me. And before I knew it, those diaries became my most treasured possessions. However, at the end of his final entry, on the very last page, I found a shocking message. It said, "Recover the Oct Genesis before the year 12OX. Else all we know will come to an end."
Pretty ominous thing to write down.
It could have been a delusion that came to him in the winter of his years. But I began to feel that it was why his diaries had been passed down to me. And as the days wore on, my desire to do something to avert the end he foretold grew stronger and stronger. But I knew I couldn't go public with any of it. Not with my grandmother's disappearance. That led me to enroll at Armus Academy, where I met a very dependable upperclassman. Her advice took me to the Orbalnet, and that led me to you. I just never thought when I started all of this that these would be the consequences. That someone would die. That you would be put in so much danger.
Well, you managed to get one of them. Even if there are still 7 more out there, you could always call it quits here.
I can't. Not when they're what connect me to my family. Not when I now know they really exist, and not after seeing that final entry. I can't look away from all of that. Here. This 50,000 Mira is everything I was able to gather for this. Please, accept it as compensation for all the help you've given me.
I thought I told you my rate.
Well, you did, but I don't feel that it accounted for that injury you sustained because of me. I intend to find the remaining 7 on my own. I don't want anyone else to get hurt because of my problems. Oh, but I'll be very careful about it. Promise. Huh?
My rate's 1,000 Mira an hour, excluding other necessary expenses. I'll bump it up a little because of the danger involved, but you rolled up your sleeves more than your average client. You put yourself in danger to help me. Any more than 10,000 would be ripping you off. This is how the world of work is. Good thing you're still in school, because you got a lot to learn.
Maybe, but still... I'm sorry. I just feel you've taken on a lot more than you bargained for from start to finish.
To be honest, that whole turning into a monster thing's got my interest piqued. So it wouldn't feel right to ask you for even more Mira with how we're gonna keep this thing going.
What are you...
Unless you decide to give up altogether, I'll pitch in however I can from here on out. In exchange, you can share any info you got on the Genesis, or anything those diaries say. How's that sound?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but... Are you telling me that even though you know it might be dangerous, you're going to help me search for the other 7 without taking additional compensation?
Hey, info's good compensation. I ain't taking a single Mira, though. I'm gonna need you to get more used to real combat, too, for your own safety. Can't have you leaving yourself wide open and all that good stuff. And I'm gonna drill it into you until you're up to snuff.
I don't know. This doesn't sound like a fair trade at all. I'm the only one benefiting here. Well, if you insist, Van, then thank you very much. Having your support means a lot to me.
Yeah, well, I'll be counting on you, too. All right, now that today's done and dusted, time for my hard-earned reward. I've been waiting for my Andalusia fig and honey tart all day.